This final outcome is about the finishing touches that make writing read as genuinely academic. Writing accurately, matching your style to your reader, and referencing your sources properly. Let's see what that involves. In this outcome, you'll learn to write clearly and accurately using accepted language conventions, and to choose a style and register that suits your reader. We'll cover referencing your sources fully and consistently, using a real academic voice rather than a chatty or texting one, and drawing on a genuine range of sources, not just websites. You'll be judged on 3 things here. The first is writing accurately, following accepted conventions. The second is using a style and register that suit your audience. And the third is referencing accurately, using one standard system throughout. We'll teach each with worked examples, and master all 3, and your writing will genuinely read as academic. Let's define a few terms. First, Standard English is the widely accepted grammar and vocabulary used in formal writing. Register is the level of formality you choose to match a situation and reader. A convention is an agreed rule or habit of writing that readers expect, and a citation is a short note in your text pointing to a source you've used. So, what are markers actually looking for? Full sentences, each with a subject and a verb. Correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar throughout. Standard English rather than slang or dialect spellings. Words used precisely with the right subject terminology. And ideas joined into paragraphs, not scattered about as notes. In practice, this means doing some things and avoiding others. Do write in complete sentences, spell terms out in full, use paragraphs to develop your points, and proofread before you submit. Avoid sentence fragments with no verb. Abbreviations like "for example" shortened in your main text, heavy bullet points in place of prose, and any text speak such as "you," "gonna," or "through." Let's turn some rough notes into a proper sentence. Suppose your notes read, "Diet plus exercise equals good health, loads of studies say so." First, identify the claim that diet and exercise support health. Add a subject and a verb to make a full sentence. Replace vague phrasing like "loads of studies" with something more measured, and strip out the symbols and the fragment style. The result, a balanced diet combined with regular exercise, contributes to good health. And this link is supported by a substantial body of research. Why do abbreviations and fragments cause such problems? Abbreviations can confuse a reader who doesn't happen to know them, and fragments leave a thought unfinished and unclear. Heavy bullet points hide the links between your ideas, whereas academic writing shows its reasoning through connected prose. A good rule is to spell terms out in full on first use, and only then, if you wish, shorten them. Here's a passage to fix. Many benefits, for example, lower costs and better results, especially long-term, but written in a clipped, abbreviated way. First, join the fragments into one flowing sentence. Replace the shorthand e.g. with the words "for example" in the running text. Swap the ampersand for the word and write "especially" out in full instead of "esp." The tidied version reads, "The approach offers several benefits, for example, lower costs and better results, especially over the long term." Style and register are about matching your reader. Register is simply how formal or informal your writing sounds, and academic work calls for a formal, measured register. Think about who will read the piece and why, and adapt your style to the format, whether that's an essay, a report, or a reflection. The aim is clarity and credibility, not big words for their own sake. Let me contrast the two. Informally, you might write "loads of people reckon," "it's a no-brainer," or "this is a big deal," and use contractions like "don't" and "can't." The academic versions would be "many researchers argue," "the evidence strongly suggests," and "this is a significant issue," with the full forms "do not" and "cannot." Same meaning, but a very different, more credible tone. Let's rework a text message tone into academic English. The original reads, in shorthand, "To be honest, smoking is really bad and everyone knows it wrecks your lungs." Remove the abbreviation and the casual "really bad." Replace the sweeping "everyone knows" with a measured claim, and use precise wording for the health effect, keeping a neutral, objective tone. The academic version: smoking is widely recognized as harmful, and research consistently links it to serious damage to the lungs. To build an academic tone, stay objective and let the evidence carry your argument. Prefer cautious wording, words like suggests, indicates, and may, and steer clear of emotive or exaggerated language. Write mostly in the third person, unless you've been told otherwise, and be concise, cutting any word that adds no meaning. Let's check your understanding. Which is more academic, a huge amount of people or a large number of people? How would you rewrite "it's obvious that" in a more cautious academic way? And why is "the study proves" often too strong a claim to make? Have a think before you move on. Why do we reference at all? It gives credit to the authors whose ideas you've used, and it lets your reader trace and check your sources. It shows the depth of reading behind your work, and it protects you from any accusation of plagiarism. Above all, it strengthens your argument by backing it with credible evidence. Harvard referencing has two parts that work together. The in-text citation gives the author and year inside your writing, while the reference list gives the full details at the end in alphabetical order. Every in-text citation must have a matching entry in that list, and a direct quotation also needs the page number. Use one system, Harvard, consistently throughout. A few referencing terms to hold on to. An in-text citation is a brief note, author and year, placed where you use a source. The reference list is the full alphabetical list of sources at the end. A bibliography is a list of works you've read, including some you didn't cite directly, and plagiarism is using someone else's words or ideas without acknowledgement. Let's build a book reference in Harvard style. Take Stella Cottrell's The Study Skills Handbook, 5th edition, published in 2019 in London by Red Globe Press. Start with the author's surname and initial Cottrell S, then the year in brackets. Add the title in italics, followed by the edition, 5th edition, and finish with the place of publication and publisher. It comes out as Cottrell S. 2019, The Study Skills Handbook, 5th edition, London, Red Globe Press. Now for in-text citations. Suppose you're drawing on Bailey, 2017. When you paraphrase, you name the author and year in brackets, placed at the end of the borrowed idea. Good planning improves the quality of writing, and then Bailey, 2017 in brackets. For a direct quote, you add the page number after the year and put the quoted words in quotation marks. Academic style is, quote, usually quite formal, end quote, then Bailey, 2017, page 24. Markers like to see a real range of sources. Draw on books, journal articles, and expert reports, rather than relying only on websites and search results. Peer-reviewed journals carry strong academic weight, and reports from recognized bodies can be extremely useful. A varied source list is visible proof of wider, deeper research. Here's a judgment call. You find a health claim on an unnamed blog, and you have to decide whether to use it. Ask who wrote it and what their expertise is. Check whether any evidence or references are given. Look for a date to judge how current it is. And compare it against a book or journal on the topic. With no named author, no evidence, and no date, the blog isn't reliable, so you'd use a peer-reviewed source such as Denscom 2017 instead. Consider a viral post claiming a study proves a new diet cures an illness. Should you cite it? Try to trace the post back to the original study, if there even is one, and check whether a real named study is actually quoted. Notice those exaggerated words, proves and cures, which good research tends to avoid. Verify the claim against a recognized academic source. Don't cite the post itself. Find and cite the original study, and if you can't verify it, leave the claim out altogether. AI writing aids deserve a responsible approach. They can help you plan, check your spelling, or reword a draft, but the thinking and the final wording must remain your own. Never submit AI-generated text as if you wrote it. Bear in mind that AI can be wrong and can even invent false references, so always check facts and citations against real sources. Where's the line here? It's acceptable to use AI for brainstorming essay ideas, checking the grammar on your own text, explaining a difficult concept, or suggesting how to structure a plan. It's unacceptable to submit AI text as your own, to copy its answers without checking, to use references it has invented, or to let it write the whole assignment for you. If you do use AI, declare it properly. Follow your provider's rules on declaring AI use and be honest about how and where you used a tool. Keep a note of the tool, the date, and what you asked it. Reference the output following Cite Them Right guidance, and when you're unsure, ask your tutor before you submit. A final check for this deck. What two parts make up a complete Harvard reference? Can you name two source types that are stronger than a random website? And can you give one acceptable and one unacceptable use of an AI writing aid? Take a moment with those before we finish.